Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. Wanted to pop in here with another episode of Crypto Happy Hour. I know the earlier episode, first of all, thanks again to Oved from AirSwap. Really enjoyed that conversation, but I didn't get a chance to answer. When I'm interviewing people, I don't always have a chance to interact as much as possible because I obviously wanted to pay as much attention to the person I'm speaking with as possible. So I figured rather than doing a recorded video today, would pop in here, take a little bit of time to talk about what's going on in the market as a whole today, answer any of your questions, interact, hang out a little bit. The market has been good today, so I got myself a nice oatmeal stout, a little 6.7% alcohol by volume, so can't complain about that. Should be a fantastic night. If you're drinking anything good, definitely let me know. If it's water, if it's wine, if it's non-alcoholic virgin pina colada, I don't care. Not discriminating at all, but hope you guys are having a good one so far. So, first one that on my own Valentine, yeah, of course. So the first question there is the LTC fork a scam? I believe that Charlie Lee had come out and said some things about that fork, that it's not really promoted by the Litecoin team at all. So if you're playing Litecoin for that, know that it's not officially endorsed by Litecoin, obviously, or anything like that. So yeah, I mean that Litecoin Cash, like, is that a fucking joke? Come on. It's actually a pretty good beer. It's the first time I've had that. Just got a 6-pack tonight after I got some Moe's burritos because I was starving and wanted to go a little bit nuts. So looking at, first of all, I'll kick things off and say this. I mean, on the subject of Litecoin, shout out to all the Litecoin fanboys and fangirls out there. Litecoin's crushed it today. A lot of people, I mean, if you kind of look back at the one-day charts, for Litecoin, where are we at? Oh, no, this is 5-minute charts, not the one. There, we'll put it on one day. Here we go. I mean, Litecoin has gotten its face ripped off since its like big run back in early December. Hasn't done super incredibly well since then. A lot of people are big fans of Litecoin though, and I get that. I made a trade on Litecoin back in early December where I bought around $100 and sold it. I didn't ride it all the way up. I wasn't that smart, but rode it from like $100 up to, I forget what it was, like the 200 plus range, and then ditched out, spiked up, continued to spike up, but I exited that trade. And really since its peak back for $400 plus back in mid-December, it's been all the way down, and looks like it may have bottomed out back in a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago at this point in time. So for anybody that from a Litecoin standpoint has been a big fan or has been accumulating on this dip, hopefully this has helped dig you out of a hole, and congrats on that, because that's been a solid move for sure. Somebody said Charlie bought back. Charlie bought the dip. No. Sold the top, bought the dip. It's the way to do it, right? Hey, crazy to think that at one point in time Litecoin was trading at, I mean, first of all, it's nuts that Litecoin even broke $100. I remember Litecoin was literally in double digits for its entire history. And then when it broke $100, it literally screamed over the course of a week, less than a week, from $100 all the way up to $400, then all the way back down from $400 to $100 over the course of about a month and a half. So it's nice to see some of those folks that might have bought that top get a little bit of relief. Taking a look at some of the questions. It's also, when you look at Litecoin too, and it's for anything, but you could see that with Litecoin. The same could be said when Bitcoin hit $10,000, but when Litecoin hit triple digits, it went straight to the moon. When Bitcoin hit 5 digits, it went straight to the moon, and then it hit that peak, and then it just kind of dove off really until then. I mean, you could see something similar with Bitcoin at the same time. Yeah, Doug Polk's video before was Absolutely hilarious. So shout out to Doug Polk for that one. What's up? Somebody said, can we collect Litecoin Cash if our Litecoin is stored on a Ledger Nano S? So I don't know anything about the Litecoin Cash fork, to be pretty frank. I don't give a crap about the Litecoin Cash fork. Bitcoin Cash is that's enough fork caches for me. The fact that Litecoin Cash is coming out. It's funny because there was actually a video when Bitcoin Cash came out. There was like a parody video of somebody pretending it was a parody video, but it was hilarious. I could probably find it, but it was some guy sitting there saying that he was the real Charlie Lee, and that Charlie Lee's original vision was Litecoin Cash, and it's a fantastic video. And now that there's literally going to be a Litecoin Cash, but if you're trying to find out whatever you have supports it, whether it's Ledger or if it's anything else, just Google that. Google Ledger support Litecoin Cash. If they will, they'll have a blog post on it. If not, they won't. So that's that's what you can do. Yeah, Litecoin Core, man, you got to be a core advocate. I mean, those damn Litecoin big blockers out there are just that I won't have any of those Litecoin big blockers. I can't have it. What's up, Robert? Strong name, great name, love it. Somebody said rumors of Amazon, Walmart, Lightwork. I'm assuming Litecoin. There's been rumors about that forever. Pretty much every single time when somebody says Amazon's going to accept cryptocurrency, like James Altucher says literally every week, or somebody else with a paid newsletter, somebody like that, I would remain highly skeptical. If somebody's providing that type of information, then you have to look at why they're providing that type of information. Are they selling something? Or is that information to get you to join a course or to join a newsletter or to promote them somehow? You just got to be smart, because a lot of these people will pump up this ridiculous fake crap that does nothing but serves them in the long run. So that's been happening a lot with these these Amazon rumors. There have been rumors about Facebook running on Litecoin. How would Facebook possibly run? How would a multi-billion-dollar company like Facebook possibly run on Litecoin? I don't know, but there are a lot of stupid rumors out there that you just got to keep your head in a swivel. Always. Somebody mentioned, did you watch the CFTC panel today? I did not. I'd like to go back and watch that. I was working today, and then I had the interview with Oved from AirSwap, so I didn't get a chance to go through that discussion from the CFTC, but I heard for the most part it was a pretty interesting one. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that. Probably after that, I'm gonna sit back, maybe have another beer or two, and do what normal people do on Valentine's Day and watch the CFTC panel on cryptocurrency. So right, that's what normal people do. So somebody said I work. Yeah, surprisingly, right? Shocker. So, couple thoughts here. Somebody said Microsoft creating their own identity blockchain. Bad news for Civic and Self-Key. Potentially. It's funny because thank you, Clash With. I appreciate that. Glad you liked the interview. But a lot of people are acting like this is Microsoft's first foray into cryptocurrency, which is a joke. It's not. Microsoft literally has Azure blockchain as a service. Let's see. Blockchain Azure. Let's see if I can do this. People acting like, oh my God, Microsoft is just in... Like I saw some moron on... I'll get to that in a second, Yassine, so I appreciate that. But I saw some moron on YouTube saying like, oh wow, Microsoft just went into blockchain for the first time ever. It's like, no, they didn't. They literally sell blockchain on their cloud product, Azure, and this isn't the first time, and it's not necessarily more of a vote of confidence or less of a vote of confidence. Microsoft, to their credit, has been pretty heavy on blockchain technology for a while, so good on them. I know they host a lot of meetups in New York City. If anybody is going to be at a meetup tomorrow in Manhattan, I'll be at the Monero meetup tomorrow evening, I believe, down somewhere on Wall Street. So if you guys are in New York City, there's some type of Monero meetup. I don't remember the website address. Somebody sent it to me, but I'll probably be going to that. You seen the Filth Monster? What's up? Great name. Is Bitcoin Vault safe on Is the BTC vault safe on Coinbase? If I'm an unorganized guy and I'll probably lose a hardware wallet one day. So, well, number one, with a hardware wallet, you do have a seed pat. You do have a set of seed words. I think with Ledger, it's like 24 words, something like that. You write them. They literally give you a piece of paper to write them down, or you could save them somewhere else. You got to be smart, because if somebody gets that, if it's on your computer, you're hacked, you're screwed. So don't put that anywhere don't put that anywhere necessarily you don't want. But you can, if you lose a hardware wallet and you still have the recovery phrase or the recovery words, then you can still access that. So that's number one, if that's like the only reason you're not buying a hardware wallet. Number two, I mean, from Coinbase, the vault perspective, I don't think there's really anything special about the Coinbase vault outside of the fact that you have to wait a little bit longer to withdraw from it. So it's basically just an added obstacle. So if somebody, I think the bigger purpose there is if somebody like hacks your Coinbase account, it takes like a day or 2 days or 3 days to actually withdraw the money from the vault. It's not literally like any more secure than a regular Coinbase vault is to my knowledge. So I don't think, I mean, if you have two-factor authentication, I know not a lot of people are technically savvy out there, and that maybe a hardware wallet isn't for you. I personally think that you should, if you're going to put any amount of money in crypto, you should figure out how to use a hardware wallet. It's a good exercise in understanding the technology, and it's important if you're going to invest in it. So that's number one. But if you are going to keep your money on an exchange, Coinbase is probably the only safe place the safest place that I'd recommend it. So, I mean, again, I don't recommend that. That is not best practice from a security standpoint, but if you're going to do it, Coinbase is probably one of the more safe places to do it. And that being said, you better have two-factor authentication. And if you really just want to leave it and forget it, I guess throw it in the Coinbase vault as well. So, yeah, so a couple people have commented. Yeah, so there's basically a delay or a gap where you have 24 hours to cancel that or pause the transaction, stop the transaction if somebody gets into your account somehow. So that's that's probably if you are afraid of using a hardware wallet or something like that, probably the next best thing is Coinbase with two-factor authentication and in a Coinbase vault if you're just going to hold on to it. So and I would probably, honestly, in my thought process, somebody else mentioned Exodus. I would probably rather have my money. I would, if it's between like keeping Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that in Coinbase in a vault with two-factor authentication or on Exodus, I almost trust Coinbase more than I trust my some of the phishing and some of the crazy viruses and computers and stuff like that. I don't know. It depends. And yeah, so Coinbase Commerce came out today. That's interesting. That's another new development. I know Coinbase gets a ton of crap, sometimes rightfully so. However, I think they are doing a ton of good for the industry. So I'm excited to see what happens with Coinbase Commerce. Andy Huang mentioned, have you tried landing an interview with CZ from Binance, the CEO from Binance? Dude is one of the legit good actors in the space, in my opinion. Andy, I have not spoken to the Binance team at all about having CZ on my YouTube channel. I would definitely not be opposed to it. I think that so I'll pull up his Twitter account right now. What do we got? CZ. So I thought the way that Binance handled, so I guess CZ was on CryptoLark. I don't really follow CryptoLark. Maybe some of you guys do, but hopefully that was a good interview. So sweet get for CryptoLark. That's awesome. I don't know if he's done any other interviews, but I thought personally that Binance did a very good job with the whole. Their website was down. The exchange was down. Basically, you could log in, but you couldn't trade. It was down for about a day and a half. 24, 48 hours. They did a fantastic job in communication. Like a legit good job in communication, which I was pumped to see. Binance is one of the biggest companies, biggest exchanges in the space right now. One of the more trusted companies in the space, and the fact that they actually communicated with users. There was a lot of stupid FUD going on. John McAfee and some of the people that were kind of pushing that FUD forward. To John McAfee's credit, I rip on him a lot, but to John McAfee's credit, he did apologize and admit his mistake, which that's all you can do. If you make a mistake, if you apologize, you admit it, good on McAfee. So that's good for him. But this is interesting too because so there are a lot of people talking about withdrawal fees and things like that and probably giving Binance crap. It cost me too much money to withdraw, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes in exchanges that most people just don't recognize or understand. And this tweet was interesting when it talks about, number one, the security, the research and development of actually integrating all these crazy wallets of all these shit coins that everybody is buying and selling, the OPSEC, the actual ability to kind of move funds between cold wallets, hot wallets, all that type of stuff. So I think that sometimes for some of the legit companies, out there, like something like BitGrail, they screwed up. They don't deserve any sympathy. They didn't know what the heck they were doing. But for a company like Binance sometimes and like Coinbase and all these other ones, sometimes you got to cut them. I don't want to say you got to cut them some slack, but in some cases you do. And there was a really interesting point that somebody discussed previously on Crypto Street Podcast. If you listen to that, they had a guest on, I think it was 2 episodes ago, Not So Fast. And he brought up a great point about the exchanges. And when you think about traditional finance and maybe you have an E-Trade account or you have a Scottrade account or a TD Ameritrade account, and you're used to never having outages with that. One of probably the great reasons of that is because for the most part, when you're trading on Scottrade or E-Trade or TD Ameritrade or whatever these trading accounts is, those are for the most part 9 to 4:30, 9 to 4, whatever the typical exchange hours are. It's not a 24/7, 365 market. Crypto is a 24/7, 365 per day or per year marketplace where any downtime is downtime people are potentially trading. So yeah, that's there's never a good time to run maintenance. There's never a good time. It's always, people are always going to get shit. So it is what it is. Robert Rodriguez, what's up, dude? TKY chosen by CSIA to lead a cooperation agreement with China Unicom, $350 billion market cap, and Unigroup, China's largest chip maker. Thoughts on this? This could be a great one, TKY. I'll have to pull this up. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know anything about these guys. I'll pull it up here. The key. I have no clue about what these guys are, what their deal is. I'll have to take more of a look. I don't know if I'll have to take more of a look into this. I'm assuming this is a competitor to something like a Civic or a Civic or some of those other ones as well. So I'll have to take more of a look. But at this point in time, I don't know too much about them to really provide any level of information. So one thing too, so a couple other people are talking about Robinhood right now, which is a good point. Robinhood is entering the fiat to crypto on-ramp game, which Coinbase right now dominates. Gemini is there as well. Gemini does a pretty good job, but is not really as consumer-facing per se as Coinbase is. So Robinhood, I think it's important to understand that Robinhood is doing something fantastic, and that's providing competition for Coinbase. On the other end of the spectrum, though, they're going to be starting off small. They're only starting off with Bitcoin and Ethereum trading, and they're only starting off in 5 states. So unless you're in one of those 5 states, they're only starting off with Bitcoin and Ethereum trading. I think a lot of people are confused because they are allowing you to track, I think it's 14 other cryptocurrencies, but you're not actually going to be able to trade those. You can just see prices for something like Litecoin or Dogecoin or some of the other ones as well. And what's up, Mike Kessler, my man? Mike said Robinhood owns the private keys and doesn't let you transfer crypto to other exchanges. That is interesting. I haven't done the full diligence into Robinhood just because the state that I'm in is not supported by Robinhood. I do have a regular Robinhood account, but I didn't even sign up for the crypto wait list. I posted about it when it was 5,000 people. Now there's 1 million people on it, though. So looking at some of these questions here, somebody else mentioned the Cash App. Yes, that's another solid one out there as well, and good to see. Solid to see some competition. And so we'll look at it on the day too. I mean, outside of Litecoin, the biggest performer on the day is everybody's favorite, BitConnect. I mean, they're crushing it, up 48% on the day, guys. BitConnect was the trade. It was the trade. It's also hilarious to see that BitConnect is down 48%, BitConnect is up 48%, but it's still down on its all-time high, 99+%. So the world is not anymore the way it used to be. No. Shout out BitConnect, the homies. BCC Moon, Litecoin, numero dos, but really Litecoin's number one. And it's up to Komodo, Dogecoin, Digibyte, OMG. BitConnect is looking very bullish. I mean, we're down 99%. How much lower could it go? 99.999%? I don't know. It's possible. What's up, Katie? Garrett Lucas, what's up, man? Good job today. I appreciate that. If using my Ether wallet to store multiple ERC20 tokens with the Ledger Nano, how else to access change tokens if something happens to my Ether wallet or my crypto? So for the most part, I haven't really had to kind of worry about any of that. I mean, it's all visible. So if you store it on Etherscan, it's all visible there. You can also always, for the most part, like if you have something and it's so basically the thing with my Ether wallet and my crypto now, since there was that whole breakup or whatever it is, I've still been using my Ether wallet. I haven't used my crypto once yet. My Ether wallet has worked fine. So I haven't really worried about it too much, but if there's ever a point where, like, I don't know, my Ether wallet doesn't work or anything like that, it's still on your ledger. You can always go to IDEX, or you could always go to Ether Delta, and you could always trade that or move that crypto to something else. So any of the decentralized exchanges, you'll have those tokens available basically at all times. So it's kind of funny because there was I'm trying to think. There was one token that I really couldn't sell at some point in time. I think it was Bread. It might have been Bread. There was another one that wasn't letting me send from my Ether wallet for whatever reason, and I had it in my Ethereum address. And I think I used I used Ether Delta just to sling it away for Ethereum. So Andrew Lupo, you sold that OMG bag. Yes, I did. I sold OMG back for ZCL a couple days ago. ZCL has done very well, so I'm not too sad about that. I also got into OMG when OMG was less than $2. So made good profit on OMG in the long run. The one thing I will say there is a lot of people will give me crap when I sell cryptocurrency. Like I sold Chainlink, I sold OMG. I am looking to get back into Chainlink at some point. I sold a little bit of QuantStamp to fund my ZCL trade. I am looking to get back into QuantStamp, but you guys should be happy if I sell a cryptocurrency, because literally like the second I sold Chainlink, it like went up 20%. I sell OMG, it goes up 20%. Don't be mad that I sell something. Be happy, because that's the sign that it's going to do well. Jamaican bobsled team thoughts. I funded the Jamaican bobsled teams. That's fucking crazy too. Holy shit! I didn't even put two and two together. But so I got into crypto now 4 years ago. Literally 4 years ago. Back when got into crypto 4 years ago. A little over 4 years ago with the initial Dogecoin run-up, Bitcoin run-up, November, December 2013. Bought a bunch of Dogecoin, had fun with it, put money to the Jamaican bobsled team going to the Olympics, the Winter Olympics. So it didn't even occur to me that was 4 years ago was the last time the Winter Olympics took place. So Curtis Gabbers, what's up, man? Thank you for the ZCL play. I got my original crypto back and still have 5 ZCL. That's cool, dude. Happy to hear that, again, if I talk about a trade or anything like that, always do your own research, always verify. It's always my personal opinions. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. So always research the absolute living shit out of everything I say. If I say something, confirm it. If you think it's BS, call me out on it. If you think it's dumb, tell me. If you think it's smart, tell me. But I'm just kind of sharing my opinion and generally speaking. But yeah, Curtis, appreciate that. Glad the ZCL trade worked out for you. How do you expect Bitcoin Private BTCP to perform at the gate, and what time does the snapshot happen? So I believe the snapshot happens February 28th, and then the fork happens 2 days later. So I would assume ZCL sells off heavily. I don't know if it's down to zero, but pretty close down to zero, I would assume, after the snapshot, because there's really going to be no reason to own ZCL once that snapshot occurs. From the side of Bitcoin Private, though, I don't really know how it's going to perform at the gate. I do think that Bitcoin Private has done a really good job at. I feel like Bitcoin Private has done a pretty good job so far in terms of generating excitement around their fork. They've done like a whole press release. I think so, Curtis. I believe that there's probably a block number. I don't know if that's publicized yet. But usually when the snapshots happen, they're going to happen at a specific block number, which there is not an exact time yet. But as we get closer, if it's 2 weeks out right now, as we get closer, then the timing of that will become more apparent, because blocks typically happen about every 10 minutes with Bitcoin, give or take a few seconds, whatever. And that could have a varying effect over the course of 2 weeks, which is probably why there isn't an exact time, an exact time at all. So that's something to keep in mind. Just look out for that. But I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people, at least I'm seeing on Twitter, there's a ton of people from a standpoint of Bitcoin Private that are like super bullish on it, like really, really bullish on it, and a lot of people that are calling it out and saying, this is scammy, this is whatever. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I do think that they're obviously riding Bitcoin's coattails. I do think that it was probably genius marketing as well. And I do think that they've done a good job so far as like building community and building interest in Bitcoin Private. I still think, probably technically speaking, Monero and Zcash are more interesting, but Bitcoin Private might be a better trade in the near term. So somebody else mentioned tough call between holding and dumping before the fork. I've seen both. I've seen people talk about both, and people confidently say in both forks, or in the scenario of the fork, say, hey, I'm going to dump a couple days prior. It's going to sell off like mad. And then I've also seen people say, I think like Crypto Di Medici, if you follow him on Twitter, is like, yo, I ain't no bitch. I'm not selling before the fork. I'm holding that. I'm getting my Bitcoin Private. So, and he's a pretty smart dude as well. So I think there's no right or wrong answer yet. We'll find that out after the fork. So unfortunately, predicting the future isn't always the easiest thing to do. And sometimes the way the market reacts to these forks is a lot often different than I think about it. So looking, what's in the bottle tonight? It is River Horse Oatmeal Milk Stout. It's a local brew. 6.7% alcohol by volume. It's pretty good, pretty tasty. So looking at some more of these questions here. Thoughts on today's Bitcoin price? Thought on buying it at this price? I'm new to this, so it depends on where you're at. I'll tell you what I've done recently, so you have an understanding, an idea. So myself personally, I bought recently at two levels. Looking the past month, I bought at 6,900 was where I bought the first dip. So I put a decent amount of money in at $6,900, and then saved some money in reserve. It went all the way from $6,900 to where when I bought it, it went all the way down to less than $6,000, and then shot up nicely. Kind of has stabilized a little bit, and obviously shown a nice deal of momentum. Additionally to that $6,900 mark, I also bought in at $8,400 right about here. That was kind of one area where I felt fairly confident and was interested to acquire a little bit more crypto there. But the 6,900 buy, I'm pretty proud of. I looked at that and I looked with Bitcoin where it was at, and as somebody who dollar cost average, who does a significant amount of dollar cost averaging, I mean, I was buying Bitcoin, not a lot, but I buy Bitcoin basically on a daily basis, and I was buying a decent amount, and I still in terms of not stopping just my daily dollar cost average, buying Bitcoin at $15,000+, you realize how little $100 of Bitcoin might get you or something like that. So if I'm putting $100 into Bitcoin at $15,000, it's like nothing. Or $1,000 into Bitcoin at $15,000, it's not even a tenth of a Bitcoin. But if I put $1,000 into, $1,000 or $2,000 into Bitcoin at sub $7,000, that's going to get me a lot more Bitcoin. And the question is, are you actually confident? What's up, David? Hey, what's up, my man? Buy that dip, baby. The question is, are you confident enough in the long-term future of Bitcoin to say, okay, this has gone down substantially, but I'm trying to acquire more Bitcoin, not necessarily something else? So that was my outlook. And so far, it's panned out pretty well recently. So I've been happy about that. And it's easy to look back now and say like, wow, I bought the dip. That's awesome. I didn't know. I literally tweeted about it where I said, hey, I'm buying now at $6,900. I don't know how low this is going to go. I don't know how long this is going to last, but this is an attractive opportunity, so I'm going to make a move. And that turned out well. So I'm happy about that. Could it have dipped a lot lower and lasted a lot longer? Yes. Could it still do that? Yeah, but I feel comfortable long-term, and I am pretty bullish on Bitcoin right now in I would say the medium to long-term. Short-term, again, I have no freaking clue, but medium to long-term, I think there are a lot of improvements happening. Coinbase is adopting SegWit. There is the Lightning Network is actually growing. It's advancing. There are a lot of new technical developments that are going on. So I've been very excited to see how this will continue to develop in the long run. So Bo says newbie here, percentage Bitcoin, percentage Ethereum. I don't see, if you're brand new to cryptocurrency and you're just looking for a pretty simple solution and you're just looking between Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe Litecoin if you have a Coinbase account, I don't think it's bad to go 50-50 Bitcoin, Ethereum, or 33-33-33 across the board. I think that's probably not the worst approach on the planet. And then as you learn and as you figure things out and can make decisions for your own and really understand the markets more, then you dive into some altcoins, or then you concentrate in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin if you feel more passionately about one than the other. So somebody mentioned NAS, Nebulous. I actually got reached out to by the Nebulous team this morning to have Hitter Zhu, the CEO of Nebulous, on the show. So I will likely set that up. And so you guys know I'm working to have Hitter Zhu from Nebulous on the show, working to have Ari Paul is scheduled for next week, which is I'm just absolutely stoked about. Like, Ari is a freaking crypto investing legend, so I am just jacked up about that. In addition to that, also going to work with the IOTA team. I haven't been a very big proponent of IOTA in the past. I've been fairly critical of IOTA, but I think it's important. I tweeted this out and I got a good response for it, but I tweeted out, I said, hey, IOTA reached out to me. Should I have them on the show? I think it'll be David Sinestbo, who I've gone back and forth on Twitter before with. So it should be an interesting conversation. But I think, I don't want to approach that aggressively, but I want to ask some questions as far as some of the critical comments that people have made about their technology, about the way they approach directed acyclic graphs and DAGs and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to have that conversation because it's a company that I'm not necessarily massively bullish on, but I think that they deserve an opportunity to talk about why their project is solid and legitimate and the good work that they might be doing. So that should be fun. and I'm excited about that. And also working at the Blockstack team, who's building like a decentralized internet protocol on the channel in second week of March as well. So working on a lot of things happening. Somebody mentioned Electroneum. I am not a fan of Electroneum. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I won't sugarcoat it. Not a big fan of Electroneum. I just, it's technically speaking, I don't see any reason why I would ever want to buy Electroneum. That's just me. Might do well, so I wouldn't say I'd never buy it, but yeah, I'm not a massive Electroneum fan by any stretch of the word. So somebody mentioned an interesting question here. Do you think Ethereum will overtake Bitcoin's market cap in the medium to long term, given the amount of ICOs launching on their platform? Good question. Interesting question. I don't know. I have doubts that Ethereum will ever kind of accomplish the flippening. I wouldn't put it beyond the scope of possibility, though. I definitely would not put it beyond the scope of possibility. I think that Ethereum needs to, like Bitcoin, Ethereum and Bitcoin are both in an interesting position where they both reached such a strong market share, and they've both gotten so much user adoption that they're both running into significant scalability issues. So both from Bitcoin's standpoint and Ethereum standpoint, Bitcoin is working on scaling with SegWit and with Lightning Network and with a lot of other potential layer 2 solutions. Ethereum is looking to potentially scale with Casper and with Raiden Network and with a number of other second layer scaling solutions as well. So how that happens, well, looks like our friends at on Litecoin are making a nice run. So shout out again to, let me see if I can pull up the GDAX book here. What do we got? Just sign out. There we go. So yeah, looks like Litecoin making a nice little bit of a run. So Jeff mentioned, do you think it's a bad idea to not hold or to only hold Bitcoin? Or excuse me, do you think it's a bad idea to not hold Bitcoin, only Ethereum as my core holding? I personally like Bitcoin. I think a lot of people sleep on Bitcoin because it's, number one, it's larger than everything else, so the potential gains are likely smaller. You know, if you already have what's Bitcoin's market cap right now? If you already have a market capitalization of $158 billion, that's a lot more. That limits the upside significantly more than if you're talking about, let's say, the market capitalization of NEO, which is $7.8 billion. So a lot of people sleep on Bitcoin because it's older, it's larger, and it's not as sexy or new. However, I still am of the opinion, and this is my personal opinion, it's not investment advice as always, but my personal opinion there with Bitcoin is that it should be a portion of your portfolio. I think there are a lot of times where Bitcoin will reduce your downside risk. When Bitcoin drops, when the entire crypto market drops, Bitcoin will drop, but the entire market will drop harder with it. So that's my just kind of 2 cents there. I think that Bitcoin is still the big daddy, and I would always have a portion of your portfolio. I would have some aspect of your portfolio in Bitcoin. I personally have. It's my biggest holding. It's my biggest holding. So thoughts on QSP, slow progression, not much marketing. So that's an interesting comment, and that's an interesting comment. There are a couple projects, some of the more legit projects out there, and a lot of them are, it's interesting, I think, the approach of some of these cryptocurrencies. Some of these projects are fantastic, technically speaking. Like, they have really strong engineers, they know what they're doing, they're based in Silicon Valley or they're based somewhere else, and it's just a couple geniuses in a room programming, building what will hopefully be an incredible decentralized platform or protocol or decentralized app on Ethereum or whatever it might be, but they don't have any marketing chops. And then you have other projects or platforms out there that literally have the biggest shitcoin on the planet that can't do anything that it says it can, and moons in price because all the company is doing is talking about how they're getting partnerships, and their partnership is like some like 1 day free trial from like McDonald's or something like that. Who knows? But so they're getting partnerships, or they're getting listed on exchanges or whatever. So you have there's almost these like two camps of like these genius engineers that are just crushing it, and these guys that are really good at marketing. And QuantStamp, I think, is in the side of the companies like QuantStamp, companies like Chainlink. There are a couple other ones out there that don't do a massive job of marketing, but they're actually focusing on building a legit tech solution. I love McDonald's. I actually hold stock in McDonald's. So yeah, I mean, outside of crypto, I do have a stock portfolio, and you boys had Mickey D stock for quite some time. And I do love myself a Big Mac, and I do love myself some McDonald's fries. So I am not knocking Mickey D's. I love fast food. I'm going to have a heart attack. Yeah, smash up the likes, guys. Smash up the likes. That's Doug Polk. Somebody mentioned thoughts on VeChain. Thoughts on VeChain. So I've been in on VeChain since early. I've been in on VeChain since early December. I had somebody at one of the kind of like meetup group that I'm in. I don't even know if it's a meetup group really. It's like a group of 6 or 8 dudes that we get together like once a month. The first call that was from that was Cardano at 3 cents, and I did a bunch of research and I liked it, bought Cardano at 3 cents. And then the second one was VeChain back in early December when it was like a sub $100 million market cap. I got in then. VeChain is up to a $2 billion market cap. Unfortunately, I didn't put a lot of money in. Otherwise, I'd be pretty wealthy. I put a moderate amount in, but I'll still take a 20x. But I'm a fan of VeChain. I'm a fan of what they're building. I'm a fan of the solution itself and kind of how they're approaching things. So I am definitely a fan of VeChain. It's still a fat bit off its all-time high, but so is everything right now, and it's showing a nice little bit of a bounce back. So I'm excited about that. So Samuel L. De Niro, what is up? What are my thoughts on speculation Bitcoin will dip to $6,000 to the low sixes at the end of February? I don't know. I'm not seeing a massive indication that that's going to happen. I don't know if we've exactly hit the bottom. There are some people out there that are trying to call a double bottom at the $6,000 range. I don't want to say I'm usually remiss to try to predict the near term. I'm not super great at that. I did a good job on the Crypto Street podcast where I called that out. Basically, Bitcoin almost to a T when we're at $11,000. I said we're going to be hovering at $9,000 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks was today because that was recorded on February 1st. So appreciate appreciate my fantastic call because that was just pulled that out of my ass and that was total luck. But I mean, speculation as far as Bitcoin dipping in the low sixes at the end of February. I don't know if that'll happen. I'm somewhat doubtful, but I'll say this: if Bitcoin does dip to the low sixes again, I'm going to scoop up a ton of Bitcoin. That will be my opportunity. That will be another opportunity on my end where I will look to buy a lot more Bitcoin at the low $6,000 range if it does go there. I'm not opposed to Bitcoin chilling for a while. I'm definitely not opposed to Bitcoin sitting steady and not doing all that much. What's this market depth thing? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Can somebody in the comments sound off on what market depth is? So looking at a question there, TNC is part of the Neo ecosystem. Would I invest? I haven't done a ton of research on TNC. Just because something is part of the Neo ecosystem, I would not necessarily invest in it solely because that is an ICO on Neo or anything like that. So I don't know. I think from that perspective, I believe you're talking about Trinity, and with Trinity, they're trying to be like a Lightning network for Neo. So who knows? That could be an interesting one. I do think, I'm not sure if they're actively trading yet at this point in time. I think the ICO that ended mid January, so almost exactly a month ago, raised 20 mil, which is a nice conservative amount. But Neo ICOs are definitely. Let me just ban this one random person that is saying die, die, die. I have no money. Thank you, Anessa. Freaking weirdo. Oh, man. So somebody said Neo is the same as Tron, just shilling. I would disagree with that. I'm not a massive Neo, I'm not a Neo fanboy. I made a nice trade on Neo back in the summer, but I don't own any Neo now. I do think Neo is actually executing on putting together a fairly competitive, or a somewhat competitive version of Ethereum, or somewhat competitive platform to Ethereum. So I don't think Neo is anywhere. I don't want to say Tron is vaporware, but Tron might be vaporware. But Neo on the other end of the spectrum is, I think they've, there are valid criticisms of Neo. I posted an article a while ago on Twitter that was a pretty lengthy criticism of some of the centralization behind Neo, the fact that Neo's blockchain has actually gone down in the past, and a lot of different things about Neo that aren't necessarily great. However, I do think that when it comes to potentially competing against something like Ethereum, the platform plays are really interesting. I do think the platform plays are a solid place to go. I mean, when you look at, we'll pull up the general purpose platforms here. When you look at how they're valued, they're probably the most valuable sector in the cryptocurrency marketplace in general. I mean, you talk about Ethereum at $88 billion in valuation right now. Cardano's at 10 bill, EOS at 6, Neo at 7, Ethereum Classic at 3, Lisk at 3, NEM at 5, Icon at 1 or 1.7, Qtum at 2. So those are, they're extremely valuable, and I think the market does value them in a, let me see, what do I got here? I think the market does value them in a pretty interesting way. So I'm pretty bullish on platforms in general. It's just kind of a pick your poison type thing of which one you like most. Trying to fix my screen here. Sorry about that. Sweet. Somebody said Knicks or Nets. I'm not a big basketball guy personally. I'm more of a football dude. I went to a Knicks game recently. I was at the Knicks game where Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL, so that was the only Knicks game I went to this year. So if you're a Knicks fan, I would not recommend having me at any other games out there. Question here on Telcoin. Telcoin is somewhat interesting. I'm not a massive fan of it. I don't think that there's a couple other ones out there. Let's see here. I'll pull it up. So you got Telcoin, you got Dent. I don't know. It's a use case that doesn't, for me, it seems fairly far out. Could it pump? Could you make some money on it? Yeah, for sure. But is it something that I am incredibly interested in? Not at all. David A., who has two thumbs and smashes the like button. That better be you, David. You better be smashing the like button. But yeah, I haven't read the Telcoin white paper yet, but from just the initial kind of overview, I understand, and just my general thoughts on the kind of subset sector it's in, I'm not massively into it. Thoughts on NEX in comparison to ZRX and AST. So let me pull NEX up. Actually. So I'm not sure exactly what on the NEX side you might be referring to, if that's a token specifically, or if that's anything else. Definitely let me know. But NEX is an ICO. Another ICO. Decentralized cryptographic trade. Is this the version of ERC20 tokens on... okay, so this will probably pump. So yeah, I haven't looked into this at all. I'm assuming that, I guess looking at this is a competitor of, or not necessarily a competitor, but the equivalent to maybe an AirSwap or to a Kyber network or to a 0x, but for Neo-based tokens rather than Ethereum ERC20 based tokens. So I haven't looked into that too much. Let's see. Token sale information is coming soon, so that could be cool. You would have to look at one thing I would look at from the perspective of the valuation here is, so there's Kyber, there's 0x, and there's AirSwap when it comes to ERC20 token based decentralized exchanges. Ethereum, however, is close to a $90 billion cryptocurrency, and the decentralized exchanges, let's say just in total value, are probably close to $2 billion. So out of that $90 billion, maybe there's $2 billion of valuation for the decentralized exchanges that will be running on Ethereum. On the other end of the spectrum, though, you have Neo, which is, let's see, what was Neo again? Neo is maybe $7 billion in market capitalization, significantly less tokens, close to $8 billion in market cap. A lot less tokens as well, because there haven't been as many ICOs. So I would say the valuation should logically be, but although logic doesn't always apply in crypto, like that's a dumb assumption sometimes, is that you would think, okay, there's a lot more ERC20 tokens, Ethereum is a lot bigger, the ecosystem is a lot bigger, so the decentralized exchanges should be more valuable. I don't know if that'll necessarily be the case. I haven't looked into that ICO, the NEX ICO, at all, so I can't specifically speak to the legitimacy of it. If Dahong Fei, the co-founder of Neo, is on the board, I'm sure that'll help, and that'll be a big reason that people will get behind it. But I can't really speak to the actual true legitimacy of it at this point in time. Guild number 2. And I got myself a little... instead of having to go up to the refrigerator, I put some beers on ice so I wouldn't have to walk away. Saad, what's up, bro? What do you think are the top 3 altcoins that have the most growth potential in the coming months? What are the top 3 altcoins that are gonna moon in 2018 that are gonna help you turn $1 into $10 billion? Many moons. That's tough. It's a tough question. I don't really love to speculate on that. I mean, my portfolio, you can take a look at. You can take a look at my portfolio really anytime. Out of my portfolio, the things maybe in the near term that I'm excited about, that I have smaller positions in. Archain is one. I like Archain and Nebulous that are like smaller plays right now. Personally, Nebulous, I'm excited about. Archain, I'm excited about. Archain performed pretty well today as well. So I'm looking at both of those, and the rest of these I would say are pretty core positions for me as well. But Archain, Nebulous, I really do like AirSwap as well. I think when you look at the valuation, and just outside of like everything that's going on, when you look at the valuation of AirSwap in comparison to 0x and in comparison to Kyber, the AirSwap team is as solid, if not better, arguably, than I do think Kyber, 0x, and AirSwap are all fantastic companies. But I think you could probably argue one way or another that one of them has the leg up. But I don't think you can necessarily argue, at least in my opinion, that AirSwap is demonstrably less valuable than something like a 0x or a Kyber right now, especially with the backing that they have and some of the partnerships that they're building up and the liquidity pools that they're working on as well. Somebody mentioned, what's up, PMag? Thoughts on the Polyswarm ICO? Do you know how the allocation process works? So if you're based in the U.S., I don't believe you'll be able to participate in the Polyswarm ICO unless you're an accredited investor. Or I don't even know if you'll be able to participate if you're an accredited investor. But so if you're outside of the U.S. and if you're trying to participate, I don't know the exact process. I would say, though, that they just announced yesterday that Block Tower, which is Ari Paul's, one of Ari Paul's firm. Let's see if I could search that. So Block Tower is just backed Polyswarm and invested. I don't even think so. They don't even have anything here, but let me see if I can search that. So Block Tower and Science both got behind Polyswarm. So that's big news on their end. I mean, anytime you can see a big name behind them, that's exciting, and I'm positive about that. If I had the opportunity to participate in that, I would likely do that as a U.S. citizen, though. I can't participate in the main sale, so. John FC, I think I know who you are on Twitter. I think I got you, brother. Excited to see next week. I'm pumped. Gonna bring a flask. Yeah, if you guys. So a quick thing. If you guys are local to New York by any, if you're local to New York by any chance, I'll be in or at NAC3 next week, next Saturday. There's a link. There's a link for tickets. If you'd like to join for that, I think tickets are $197, and if you use code, I think it's Bobby15, then get 15% off. So if you'd like to join for that, I think a couple people are joining for NAC3. Should be a lot of fun. The one in Vegas was awesome. I'm excited for New York City. New York City's pretty sick, so. Actually, I don't know why I just said New York City is sick. I freaking live there. But I like New York City. So any chance I'll ever come to Germany? I think I might actually go to Germany potentially for that Blockstack conference in a few weeks. So potentially go to Germany. We'll see. Getting back to thoughts on Nav attempting a platform play. I haven't looked into Navcoin too much recently. I know the big thing behind Nav was privacy as far as them turning on a platform play. I'm not exactly sure how they'll swing that. So, shilling NYC, guys. I think there literally is a New York City coin that I heard somebody shilling the other day. Grant, you missed it before. I'm not a big fan of Electronium. Just my personal opinion, but it's not my cup of tea. So looking through some more of these questions. Yeah, as far as Nav attempting a platform play, though, not massively, like, I don't know. Seems like an interesting pivot, but we'll have to see what happens there. So pulling up the Mark Space ICO, seeing what this is. A lot of ICOs, a lot of stuff to keep track of. Almost impossible. Let's see. Let's see if I'm able to. Okay, so you're not a citizen of the U.S., PRC, Singapore. Okay, so At least they're banning U.S. At least they're banning U.S. citizens, because that'd be a little bit scary. Somebody tweeted about a project recently that had U.S. citizen investment. I think I'd be wary of any projects out there that still allow U.S. citizens to invest, just because the way the SEC is approaching it. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but the SEC is probably going to come down on the hammer, or with the hammer, with any company that might, with any company out there that might be doing that. I don't want to dive too much into it, Paul. I think Doug Polk's the man. I think Doug Polk's the man. I think he's got balls. I mean, there's dangerous people out there in crypto. I mean, you got dangerous people out there in crypto that are like crypto OGs that are shilling BitConnect and BitConnect X. And Doug Polk put his foot down and was like, "Yo, fuck these dudes." And Doug is the most, Doug's the most wanted dude at whatever high school CryptoNick, is at. I mean, there are wanted posters of Doug Polk all over CryptoNick's high school. He is a wanted man. So shout out to Doug for just having the stones to do that. Pace Forth Seth said, "How do you become an accredited investor?" So basically what an accredited investor is, we can pull this up here. So this is something that's an interesting topic, because unfortunately, if you are not an accredited investor, at least in the US, your opportunities now to invest in ICOs are significantly limited. And you're probably thinking, if you haven't been investing for a while, you're probably thinking, well, how do I become an accredited investor? Like, what does this mean? So pretty much the big thing is, either there's kind of two ways you can become an accredited investor: your annual income or the net worth you have. So either you have to make $200,000 per year for like the past 2 years, or if you are married or in a civil partnership or whatever, joint income, you have to make $300,000 for the past 2 years, or you have to have $1 million in net worth, not including your house. So not including not including the equity in your house if you own a house. So basically the purpose of the accredited investor, all the stuff around accredited investors, basically summing it up, is that if you are an accredited investor, you are supposed to have more money, meaning that you can take on riskier investments, and if you lose that money, it's not going to maybe affect you as much, and hopefully, because you make more money, you are smarter with your money as well, so you'll be able to better recognize, thanks Investopedia, no, I don't want your term of the day, but you'll be able to better recognize risks. Unfortunately, that doesn't really turn out like that. That doesn't really, especially now in crypto, where it's limiting a lot of opportunities for people, which is pretty unfortunate. But yeah, you basically need to, if you're a single dude or dudette, you need to make $200,000 a year plus for the past 2 years, or you need over $1 million in net worth minus the equity in your home. So yeah, somebody's saying they're protecting us from ourselves. How nice of them. This isn't just crypto. So for clarification purposes too, this is not just new to crypto. This is more around, there are extremely looser regulations around allowing accredited investors to participate in investments over non-accredited investors. So there are a lot of different things, whether it's like equity crowdfunding or participating in like VC partnerships, things like that. You can, as an accredited investor, you can do that with a lot less paperwork and a lot less headache than as a non-accredited investor, because I don't know, it's just the way shit works now, unfortunately. But somebody said it means only the rich get the opportunity to get richer. It's protection. It kind of is. I mean, it definitely is. There are, as an accredited investor, you get significantly better opportunities to invest in, whether it's right now with ICOs, if it's tokens, if it's venture capital funding in the US, if it's these like crowd sale things, you get much better opportunities and access to better deal flow right now if you are an accredited investor. It's unfortunate, it's the way it is. My nose is itchy as all hell. I like this beer, but it's making me burp up a storm, so that's not fun. Somebody said, wait, I don't get it. Accredited investors get what? They get better access. That's simply put. If you're an accredited investor, it means that you are able to invest in different opportunities that non-accredited investors are. So right now, you might be saying, okay, like the thing is, so how this relates to cryptocurrency is that with ICOs, there are different regulatory requirements to allow to basically there are different regulatory requirements to sell securities to accredited investors versus non-accredited investors. And that is right now allowing a lot of individuals to go through Reg D offerings. So you can see here, the term is used by the Securities and Exchange Commission under Regulation D to refer to investors who are financially sophisticated and have a reduced need for protection provided by regulatory disclosure filings. So a lot of these companies, a lot of these tokens, these ICOs are doing Regulation D offerings, which require less paperwork, less disclosure filings. They're basically admitting that they're offering securities, but they're offering securities to accredited investors, not to Main Street investors. And if they offer them to Main Street investors, then they'd be in trouble. So El Chapo Loco says, come to Italy, guys. We have no tax on crypto for now. You can invest wherever you want. There's also pretty low tax in Puerto Rico. A lot of people are talking about Puerto Rico. A lot of crypto guys are moving down to Puerto Rico as well. So Molinek said, so I need a small loan of $1 million to be an accredited investor. Potentially. So Michael said, and this was a question I actually asked Oved on the interview, but somebody mentioned this. Did you see the Binance CEO announce they're going to create their own decentralized exchange? Not good for AirSwap and company. I think it's good and bad. It's definitely good and bad. Aaron, what's up, brother? But I think the issue with Binance is interesting and Bitfinex and things like that, because the way they're approaching potentially decentralized exchanges is maybe different from how AirSwap or 0x or Kyber might be approaching it, and some of the potential profitability. It also goes to, if Binance, the world's largest exchange right now by volume in a lot of standpoints, if Binance is creating a decentralized exchange, that also goes to show the legitimacy of what these other decentralized exchanges are trying to do. So I think that's even a bullish sign in some respects. Yeah, I got a green screen right behind my toilet. I've been sitting here the whole time. I got no idea, Paul. However long I can go. So taking a look at some more of these questions. Apparently the Jesus Coin white paper is dope. Skyboat, Bobby wears diapers. No, but I'm not an old man, and I can actually drink 2 beers without having to go to the bathroom like you, bro. Somebody said, who are your favorite crypto YouTubers? I think Doug Polk is solid for laughs and also for serious content. I think he's definitely changed the game in terms of like actually producing content. He's done a really good job with that. Admittedly, my content is not super like produced. It's basically just me hanging out in front of a green screen, and for the most part, I don't take a ton just because I have a full-time day job and I don't have an editor. I don't do a ton of production value, and his is phenomenal production value. So his is solid. I really like Jackson Palmer. Jackson Palmer's underrated because he doesn't put out daily videos. But Jackson Palmer is somebody who created Dogecoin. He's been in the space for a long time. from a technical standpoint, he's like really truly passionate about this stuff, and he doesn't just talk about prices and random crap. So I think Jackson is solid there, and I like his approach. Also, I don't know if David Hay's still in here, but I really like David Hay. I think he also has these stones to call out people whenever they're doing stuff, and he also has these like longer videos. Crypto Daily is funny as well, and yeah, I would probably say Crypto Nick. I don't know why he deleted his channel. Yeah, all the BitConnect guys, they're really solid. What? I'm kidding. There's also, there's other guys out there that do like really strong technical videos as well. Venture Coinist, Luke is a solid dude. Oh yeah, shit, I forgot to Coin Mastery. David mentioned Coin Mastery is Carter Thomas is a solid dude. I really like Carter Thomas as well. So can't believe I forgot to mention Carter, but yeah, Carter is a solid dude. He's very consistent, always puts out his content, whether it's 20, 25, 30 minutes. He definitely does. Carter does his thing for sure. So I'm happy to. I think he approaches things in a really nice, level-headed approach. So always worth the time to watch what Carter's saying. Yeah, it looks like we just broke 9,500 on Bitcoin. So that is awesome. Let's take a look and see what happens there. I believe some people are saying that a lot of the resistance, at least with Bitcoin, recently was around 94, 95. So if we broke through, that could be a nice positive sign here. Cameron, thoughts on Hcash H shares? What do we got here? I'll pull it up. I remember when this Hcash came out of nowhere, and I was like, what the hell is this thing? When it literally hit like $1 billion the second it was released in August, and I was like, what is going on? I know it's everybody's favorite word that I say, but to be pretty frank, I haven't done a ton of research into Hcash. Probably one of the larger cryptocurrencies that I haven't looked at into too much. Should probably read that white paper. I might read that tonight after I go through the CFTC hearing. DAGs are interesting. There's some interesting theory behind them. IOTA's run into trouble, and some of the other DAGs have run into trouble as well. But I'll add this to the white paper review list for sure. Staying until Bitcoin hits 10K. We might be on for a while, but we're at 96. Let's see where's GDAX right now. Let's see if we're running. Break 96. There you go. I guess push down. Please don't research on live. For a free thinker, you're not letting me free think, bro. That's not helping me. So looks at jinxing it, we're heading to 6K. If we head to 6K, that's fine. I'm going to buy up a ton of Bitcoin. That's perfectly fine with me. I will stack Bitcoin at 6K. I'll tell you that much. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to suck? Am I going to want to puke at some point? Maybe, but I'll stack Bitcoin. So Haroon mentioned the best way to research crypto with 1 to 2 hours a day with a day job. So that's basically the boat I'm in, man. Is that I research when I can. I still have a day job. I don't make YouTube videos full time. I don't sell Udemy courses to pay my mortgage. But Yeah, I mean, as far as the best way to research crypto for 1 to 2 hours a day with a day job, I would recommend you watch 2 hours of YouTube videos a day. I mean, no, I'm totally kidding. I would recommend. So one of the big things that I like to do is if you have a network of individuals that you trust, try to develop that. That's kind of my biggest time saver on my end is that. That's my biggest time saver on my end is I'll reach out to people and I'll say like, hey, what are you liking right now? What do you think? And then they might say, oh, yo, dude, I like our chain right now, or I like QuantStamp, or I like Chainlink, and this is why. And then I will go out, I will read the white paper, I will look at some of the technicals, I will reach out to other people, try and confirm that information, I will see what they're thinking. And that's kind of how I approach things is I'll reach out to some people. I'll get a feel for what they're thinking, and then I will do my own research. And that's what I recommend in a lot of respects that you would do as well. And Haroon said, I live in Youngstown, Ohio, but not by choice. Been thinking of starting a local crypto group. Honestly, dude, I think even in Youngstown, Ohio, there's probably people that like crypto, and I would go on Meetup and start a Youngstown, Ohio crypto group, and I guarantee that there will be 10 nerds like you and me that will show up on the first time, or 5 nerds, and then the second time there'll be 10 nerds, and the third time there'll be 20, and just get some pizza and some beer or something like that, and in Youngstown, talk about crypto and build a network of people that might be interested. I would, honestly, that's been one of the biggest things, and I'm at an advantage being in New York. It's probably the largest. What's up, Bitcoin? Making that run at 96.75. What's up, Bitcoin? But I'm at an advantage there where New York City is probably second in the world, I would bet, behind San Francisco in terms of the number of meetups as well as the connections and things like that within the crypto community. So I am at an advantage probably being over Ohio, but that's not to say that there's probably, if I go to my YouTube analytics right now, there's probably a shit ton of people in Youngstown, Ohio that watch. So who knows, man? But yeah, I definitely try and start a meetup and then read white papers. That's one of the big things. Read white papers. It's boring at first. It sucks, but read white papers. You'll get smarter, and try to get a really good understanding of what's happening just through like general analysis. If you're like a technical analysis type of guy, do that for sure. But yeah, who knows? Is it illegal to post YouTube analytics? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. So Courage Andy said, do you think a lot of people use platforms like Salt? So I actually had a chance to talk to the Salt team when I was at the Bitcoin Miami conference. They were an interesting group. I think that the Salt team and the concept of Salt is really cool. There was also another company out there. I'll pull these guys up. They're kind of a competitor, Unchained Capital. Is it Unchained Capital? So this is cool too. This is more of this is kind of a Salt type competitor, but they're targeting, I would say, like a larger class of investors. So I think their minimum loan is $10,000, but I think their minimum loan is $10,000. And basically what Unchained and Salt do, which is pretty cool. A lot of people are saying Wax is popping off right now. I'll take a look at that. Wax got hammered during the downturn. So good to hear Wax popping off for sure. But Unchained Capital and crypto secured loans are really interesting because this allows you to take profit in some respects from your crypto without having to pay capital gains tax. It was a really good interview. Let me see if I can pull it up from the flippening. So I had Clay Collins on the show recently. Let's see if I can pull this up here. So if you guys want to listen to this podcast later, hop into, I'll link to it in this is a fascinating podcast. So I'll show you guys up on here. But so this is Clay Collins, who was somebody I had an awesome interview with. Really enjoyed it. He runs the Flippening podcast and also Nomics as well. But he talks about the difference between selling your crypto. So like, let's just say, for example, with Salt and also with Unchained Capital, but I don't know the exact specifics of Unchained or of Salt, but with Unchained Capital, let's say you have 50 grand of Bitcoin. So you got $50,000 of Bitcoin and you want to do a home renovation, or you want to, let's just say you want to renovate your bathroom in your house and you want to use your Bitcoin as collateral behind a loan. You can say, okay, I got 50 grand of Bitcoin and I want to take out a $10,000 loan. So I'm going to give Unchained $25,000 worth of Bitcoin. They're going to hold that Bitcoin and keep that as collateral for a loan. Then they're going to give me $10,000 worth of cash. And then I am going to pay them back. I'm going to pay them back in cash. You can do interest only, or you can do, you can pay down the principal as well. But I'm going to pay them back. And then at the end of the term, I will get my Bitcoin back. But you won't be taxed on your Bitcoin, which is interesting. You won't have to pay capital gains tax, where in the sense of, like, let's say you wanted to redo your bathroom and it's going to cost you 10 grand. You're going to sell a Bitcoin and a half, or, you're going to sell basically a Bitcoin right now. To do that, it costs 10 grand. You're going to have to pay capital gains tax. So depending upon short or long term, you're going to have to pay upwards of 40% capital gains tax, or maybe like 15, 20%, depending upon your net income. So something to consider. But this podcast, I was shocked at how interesting the concept of borrowing versus selling your crypto assets were, and that applies to Salt in addition to Unchained. They're slightly differentiated. I think Unchained Capital is more along the lines of like $10,000 plus loans, where Salt, you might be able to obtain a loan for like for like $500 in crypto. So smaller scale loans. But really, really cool subject of discussion, even if it doesn't sound like that. So I haven't done a ton of due diligence on ETHLend. I'm familiar with it a little bit, but not enough to really give you any solid thoughts on it. Do I think the Litecoin fork is being overhyped? I think the Litecoin fork is bullshit. But that's not to say the Litecoin price movement is bullshit. I think Litecoin got absolutely crushed. Probably more, significant. Litecoin got hurt more so than Bitcoin, more so than Ethereum, and it's kind of it's had its day in it deserves its time in the sun right now. Bittrex just listed Wax, so we'll take a look at that. Let me see if I can pull up Wax on Coinigy. Let's see, is Wax on Coinigy? So it's on HitBTC. Woo! Hey, buy volume. Yeah, so you guys weren't kidding, huh? Holy hell. So Wax is up on the day about 93%, getting listed on Bittrex. Let me see if I can find. Bittrex is starting to list. So Bittrex is starting to list token. There we go. So this is funny. So if you guys don't follow Richie on Twitter, it's literally at RichieLA. If you don't follow Richie, Richie is one of the guys behind Bittrex, and he tweets these kind of silly puns every time they list a coin. And I would recommend that so if you're saying, hey, this is pumping and dumping, it definitely might dump off. Usually there's a pretty short time frame between when something pumps, when it gets added to an exchange, and when it pops off, and when the dump happens. But I would follow Richie, because it seems like Bittrex is now starting to add more cryptocurrencies back into the mix. Bittrex, if you're not familiar, if you weren't in crypto for a while, it was a really interesting time, because Poloniex at one point in time, a lot of you guys who are probably new to crypto in the past 6 months, maybe don't even have a Poloniex account. Poloniex was the largest exchange, and then Bittrex came out, and Bittrex started adding all these tokens while Poloniex wasn't, and Bittrex gained a ton of market share and became basically the biggest exchange. And then pretty much out of nowhere in the past couple months, Binance has started adding all these tokens, and Binance is now the number one exchange. And when the mad rush in like November and December for all these random new people that were starting in cryptocurrency, when that all came down, maybe you're one of those people, Binance stopped taking new users, Binance was taking new users, and Bittrex was so overwhelmed that they stopped taking new users, and Binance just went straight up and just zoomed up, and Bittrex's growth is stagnated a little bit. So I have a Binance account. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But yeah, I would recommend following Richie at Richie LA for any time that they add new. You can see here they'll give some updates. They added SRN yesterday. They added wax on, wax off today. So it's a good sign when they start adding tokens again. And that's interesting just from an overall like cycle percentage of where the new tokens are being added, because the exchanges that get the most traction are the ones that have the most tokens on them. Like if you could go to an exchange, like let's just say, for example, if you go to Binance right now and they literally had every single token available. Like if I could go to Binance, I used to use Bittrex all the time, basically exclusively use Bittrex. And then it got to a point where there were a lot of tokens that were trading on Binance that weren't trading on Bittrex. So I started using Binance, and then I started liking it. And I was like, hey, I kind of like Binance even more than I like Bittrex, and there's more tokens here, so I'm just going to use Binance. But if it got to the point where like every token you ever needed was on one exchange, like why would you ever go anywhere else? And that's why a lot of these exchanges kind of come up and then they die back down a little bit in terms of popularity, because they'll get popular and then they'll get regulatory pressure to stop listing so many tokens, and then they will, somebody else will not give us as much of a shit about the regulation, and they'll just add as many tokens as possible, get as much market share as possible, and then worry about that when they get to it. Yeah, and so to that point too, KuCoin, however you want to pronounce it, they've been adding. So Binance has probably been getting more regulatory pressure recently, and KuCoin has come up and started adding random tokens, new ICOs, like they added Polymath today, I believe, and some other cryptocurrencies. So I have a KuCoin account, but they've started, like I have a Poloniex account, Bittrex, KuCoin, Binance, and I trade on Ether Delta when I have to, blah, 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 like all over the place. But it's all because there's not one exchange with every single token I want. Like I had to open up a KuCoin account to buy Archain, because Archain doesn't trade on Binance, doesn't trade on Bittrex, doesn't trade on Poloniex. So what do? I open up a new account, because that's what you got to do. Is PackCoin still a good buy? Was PackCoin ever a good buy? Who the hell told you PackCoin was a good buy? JR Business. It's the last time you should trust two kids that are still in homeroom making videos. So taking a look here, let's see what's going on. So Path of Bitcoin, it's WAN chain, WAN chain, not WEN chain. So I have no idea. I would assume that there's a high demand for exchanges to list WAN chain. I've spoken to the WAN chain team, and they're sharp dudes. Dustin Byington's a sharp guy. I went to a meetup when I was at the Bitcoin Miami conference. They hosted a meetup afterwards while Dash was having a party at a strip club, which was, they got a lot of not good feedback afterwards. But while Dash was doing that, WAN Chain was having a kind of more of a nerdy happy hour, which is awesome because I like nerds. And their team is super sharp. I like what they're doing. They're getting hyped by a lot of people. They're getting shilled. Kind of like the guy like Ian Bellina, but Ian Bellina, I think, tweeted out that they were like an easy 1000x. Like, that's just a dangerous thing to say. Like, you don't want to build up that level of hype. So I think if you got in on the WAN Chain ICO, you're gonna crush it. I personally did not, but I would like to buy into to Wanchain if it does hit exchanges. That would be kind of my goal, is to acquire that when it does hit exchanges. I have no idea at what rate. I need to research at what rate it ICO'd at and what it might hit exchanges at, but I'm assuming it's going to be at a pretty significant premium to that. So we'll have to see how that ends up panning out. But also there's some legality issues behind talking about the exchange listings, as well as companies. A lot of people don't realize that it's not, in some cases, they're not legally allowed to talk about token prices. They're not legally allowed to do a lot of things. Like people don't think about that, but it's something you have to understand. Like there are a lot of like legalities behind project founders talking about like, oh, we're getting listed on such and such exchange. We're doing this, we're doing that. Like if they're smart, they're not talking about that. That you don't want them to talk about that. So somebody said Wanchain most likely IDEX listing first. I'm pretty sure Wan has moved. They ICO'd with an ERC20 token. To my knowledge, they ICO'd with an ERC20 token. Now that they have their own mainnet, that they have their own token now, so that that wouldn't be IDEX is solely for ERC20 tokens, so that wouldn't be the case. Somebody can definitely correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I do believe that it would not be trading an IDEX because it is no longer an ERC20 token. They ICO'd with ERC20 tokens, and then they recently have done like a one-for-one token swap. They did a process. Again, I didn't participate in the ICO, so I don't know the exact process, but so Jonas said, who decides the price of the coin when it gets listed on the exchange? So many coins crashed after their initial listing. You do. The market decides the price of a coin after it gets listed on an exchange. And that is determined by the excitement around it. It's pretty simple. If this is just a stupid example, and I have no idea of what the actual token price for Wanchain is, or when, whatever, I forget the name of the token. It's not Wanchain, but I have no idea of the actual price that it ICO'd at. But let's just say it was $1. If there is a significant amount of excitement behind the project, and there were more people that did not get in on the ICO that want to get access to the token, there are more buyers than there are sellers. Pretty simple. The price of the token is going to rise. On the other end of the spectrum, if the token ICOs and they maybe don't sell out, or there's not a ton of, they sell out, but the market conditions aren't good, there's not a ton of excitement behind it, then there are more sellers. There are people looking to ditch that ICO. Then there are buyers, and the price will then drop because of that, because people are the more sellers that there are, the lower price that they're willing to go, because they're trying to leapfrog underneath each other to sell their token to get rid of it faster. Same can be said with buyers. So Path to Bitcoin, it's all good, brother, man. All good, dude. Spelling, typos, we all been there, brother. What do I think about Monero V? I'll talk about these forks. So Bitcoin Private is probably one of the more, there are a lot of people that are detracting or saying that the Bitcoin Private fork is scammy, it's stupid, it's BS. I made a trade on it. I wasn't initially positive on it. I did more research, and I kind of changed my mind as far as the outlook of the trade. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be like the best privacy coin of all time, but I do think I can make money off the trade, so I'm making the trade. However, there are a lot of these other forks that are coming out, like somebody mentioned Monero V and Litecoin Cash. Those are bullshit. Like, come on. So I think that the best thing that you want to do is to just research anytime you hear a fork mentioned. See what the people behind the project are saying. Most of the time, they're going to be negative anyway. Like the true Bitcoin maximalists the Bitcoin maximalists, like the real Bitcoin maximalists, are denouncing the Bitcoin private fork. They're saying you're riding the coattails of Bitcoin, you're trying to make money off Bitcoin, and we hate you. Likewise, Charlie Lee came out and said, hey, we have nothing to do with this Litecoin Cash crap. I believe Ricardo Spagni from Fluffy Pony fame, the kind of the main the figurehead per se, or the lead dev, one of the lead devs behind Monero, came out and said, like, Monero V, that's like a joke. Are you guys kidding me? So that's another thing there as well. So Ben Oliver mentions the XRP announced partnership with Western Union, moonshot possible. So if the moonshot didn't happen, the partnership was already announced. I don't think that makes a big deal. It is funny though. I didn't really talk about it too much today, but like, so when I got into crypto in 2013, one of the big use cases that everybody talked about was like Western Union and remittances, because there are all these people that live in third world countries, or countries that are not as economically fortunate as individuals in the U.S. or in other of these, maybe Europe or Asia or somewhere else. And one of the big use cases of Bitcoin initially was like, hey, we are going to allow individuals that make money in the U.S. to send money to the Philippines for a cent, when Western Union charges them $50 to send that money. And we're going to kill Western Union and F Western Union, and we hate these guys, and blah, blah, blah. And now it's funny because, obviously it's good for Ripple that they're developing partnerships. That's not to say, not to say anything negative about Ripple. They are probably the most legit at actually developing partnerships, like legit partnerships, not like Tron partnerships, but legit partnerships. So that's one thing. But it's funny that now, like, everybody's like, oh yeah, partnership with Western Union. Yeah, woo. And previously, like, everybody in crypto wanted to, or at least everybody in Bitcoin wanted to literally wipe Western Union off the face of the earth. So it's kind of funny to see how that's developed and how that process has kind of gone on. I have an announcement that we will be doing a YouTube Live Crypto Happy Hour. Potentially, investors could be you. Prestige worldwide, wide. And guys, I know I joke about Tron, and if you have money in that, I wish you guys the best. I really do. If you're not investing in anything that is killing orphan children, or if you're not investing in BitConnect, that is literally like wiping retirement money out of like poor old people that literally don't know what's going on, then good, go do what you want to do. Seriously, I don't care. I'll provide my commentary where I'll provide my commentary, but I don't like it. I don't think it's a super legit project, but it is what it is. But the one thing I would say is don't get married to a cryptocurrency, whether it's Tron, whether it's Litecoin, whether it's Cardano, whether it's anything. Like, don't get married to a cryptocurrency. Don't become a bag holder. Don't become a community member, because it's funny because there are a lot of people that will buy cryptocurrency as it goes up, and then it will go up and go up and go up, and then it will just crash. And instead of selling it when it crashes or doing something else, rather than taking some type of action, people will justify the fact that they're now bag holding by basically saying, oh yeah, I'm part of the community. And somebody said, yeah, get married to Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? I would say, yeah, kind of. Like, I'm pretty much married to Bitcoin. Ethereum as well. Like, I really like Ethereum too. But yeah, I think a lot of the altcoins, people tend to fall in love with them, and then like either maybe they get a little bit of a gain from them and they crush it, and then it falls off the face of the earth, and you just do this constant mental game of continuing to tell yourself like, hey guys, it's gonna be okay, they'll come back, and they never do. Chris Gerard, yes, call me daddy. Cole, yeah, man, it's been rough, brother. I talked about it a little bit before, Robert, when he got in here, so I don't want to go over it too much again. But I think apparently got some tweets to go through after we get off the line here, and things were heating up on heating up on Twitter. So I'm excited to digest some of that and relax a little bit. So. Andrew Lupa, Wax got listed on Bittrex. So anytime something gets listed on a large exchange like a Bittrex or a Binance, it tends to pump. And we can see here, and there's the dump. So we missed it, or I missed it as it was going on. So there's exactly what we were talking about. These are 5-minute charts. So I believe Binance, this large green candle here is the second Richie tweeted that it was getting added to Binance, or to Bittrex, excuse me, to Bittrex, not to Binance. But this green candle here was the second that it got listed to Bittrex, and then it went up how many percent here? Let's just say from the top of the candle. Went up about 45+% at one point in time, went up about 70%. But there's only so much time where that spike lasts. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but it already has fallen from the peak at least, let's say about 10+%, 12%. So Scott Without Clout mentioned, what will Coinbase add if you had to guess 4 coins to front run? I don't really give a crap what Coinbase is going to add. You look at Bitcoin Cash, what happened with Bitcoin Cash. So let's take a look at Bitfinex. So here was the time where Bitcoin Cash got added to Coinbase. This run up all the way to 4,000. The run up on GDAX was all crazy, so I don't want to include that. But it doesn't necessarily, just because something gets added to Coinbase, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to last. Like that pump is going to last forever. So I'm not like holy crap. Litecoin has done really well since it got added to Coinbase. That's for sure. But, I don't know. There are rumors all over the place. Like, some people say Ripple is going to add Coinbase because Ripple is close by Coinbase. It is in with regulators in the U.S., and it's going to be added. Other people think that there's a couple other tokens that have ex-founding partners from Coinbase that are located within the U.S. They're ERC20 tokens. They think those are going to be the places to go. There are a number of other ones. Some people think that, Coinbase might add a decentralized exchange, or Coinbase might create their own decentralized exchange, so that they might add, maybe they'll build that decentralized exchange off 0x or AirSwap, so they'll add 0x or AirSwap because of that. There's a lot of different theories. I don't try to predict it. I just try to buy crypto that I think have some fundamental reason behind buying it outside of, this is going to be on Coinbase. Bryson Hobbs says DGB seg with Coinbase. Out of all the crypto I think will get added to Coinbase, I don't think Digibyte is that. I'll say that. And guys, if you are new to the channel by any chance, we've been going on an hour and 42 minutes now, and I still got a beer left, so we'll keep it rolling. But if you are new to the channel by any chance, hit that subscribe button, the notify bell, and if you've been here for a while, I would really, really appreciate it if you hit that, if you smash that like button, because that's what we do around here, right? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, smash that like button. Why not? Shout out to Doug. Will you be staking ADA when Cardano releases the option to? Yeah, I will. I don't think there's any reason why not to. And the idea of cold staking with a ledger too is awesome. Cold staking is any crypto. And I've kind of been looking into thoughts on Neblio. I've looked into Neblio a little bit. I'm not I don't not like it. But I'm also not massively bullish on Neblio either. Doesn't mean it won't pump, but yeah, not in love with Neblio like some other people are. General Tony, what's up, brother? So good to have you here. Appreciate that. So staking crypto is a little bit different than So normally when you think about crypto, if you're not familiar with it, I mean, I don't want to be a dickhead and say just Google it or whatever, but kind of there's a lot of times right now there's two main approaches with blockchain tech. The two highest level approaches is proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of work is mining cryptocurrency. So using some level of computing power, whether it's ASICs for Bitcoin or some of these other cryptocurrencies, or alternatively GPUs or CPUs, basically mining. Proof of work is mining cryptocurrency, where you are mining cryptocurrency to secure the network and ensure that there's not a 51% attack or something like that, and that the network is secure. On the other end of the house, there is also the concept of staking cryptocurrency, which is when you hear about proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of stake is when you're staking cryptocurrency, and rather than people mining cryptocurrency, that they are keeping cryptocurrency in a wallet that they are not moving, and they are basically leaving that there to, in some respects, confirm transactions. I'm probably not going to do the best description of this, but in some standpoints, it's almost like keeping your cryptocurrency in a designated wallet to secure the network rather than having somebody mine cryptocurrency to secure the network. So it's a different way. It is a different approach to secure the network. It is something that Ethereum is moving to. So Ethereum is moving to proof of Ethereum right now. You can mine Ethereum, but in the future, right now Ethereum is proof of work. In the future, it's going to be proof of stake. Cardano has been built basically from the ground up. They evaluated and decided to go proof of stake, so they're going proof of stake, which means rather than mining a cryptocurrency, you can keep a certain level of that token in a wallet and receive, in effect, mining rewards from staking that cryptocurrency or keeping that cryptocurrency in a wallet. So somebody said, what's the difference between staking and lending? Well, staking is you own the cryptocurrency, and I'm not sure exactly from a lending perspective. But when you're talking about lending, you're giving that crypto to somebody else, and you are hoping to get it back, I'm assuming, at a better rate. Otherwise, why would you lend it? So staking is you're keeping that on your own. And the interesting thing is with staking and the concept of cold staking is a lot of times when you stake your cryptocurrency, you might have to keep your computer on. That wallet might have to be hot. So you might have to have a QT wallet open on your laptop or open on your desktop to get staking rewards, and that might have to be running 24/7. The concept of cold staking, which I talked to Charles Hoskinson about recently, involves the opportunity to use a Ledger or something else where that device is cold, it's not attached to the network, but you do you basically create an initial key that confirms that you have the designated number of Cardano or Ethereum or something else in your wallet, and then it will stake according to that, but you actually keep the contents of your wallet in a cold compartment so that there's no access to potential hackers or anything like that. And then somebody said, what is the kind of deal if I only have 5 digits of said coin? So one thing that'll come up too, if you're not familiar with mining pools. So right now, to some people, I'm sure most of you are, and this might be repetitive, but if you're not familiar with Bitcoin mining or Ethereum mining, if you have a ASIC miner, if you have a bunch of GPUs, it's basically impossible for you. There's so much hash power out there. There's so many people mining. It's pretty much impossible for you to just open up a miner on your computer and mine by yourself. You have to join a pool, which is basically a collection of individuals out there right now. So rather than just you doing it, there are 1,000 people or 10,000 people that are all mining, and they're trying to gain a reward. And if one out of the 10,000 people in that pool gets the mining reward, that mining reward will be distributed according to the level of hashing power that every single person within that 10,000 attributes to that pool. The same is going to happen with proof of stake, or the same is said to be happening with proof of stake, where if you have there's going to be limits. So I don't know the exact number, but with Ethereum, let's say the proof of stake, when Ethereum moves from proof of work to proof of stake, you need to actually stake 1,000 Ethereum, 1,000 ETH to get staking rewards. Not a lot of people have 1,000 ETH. That's a lot of money. That's no joke, a shit ton of money. So I mean, right now we're talking about a fat chunk of change for 1,000 ETH. So not a lot of people have that amount of money. But what if you have 10 Ethereum, or what if you have 20 Ethereum? I mean, you have 10 grand, you got 20 grand. You can contribute your Ethereum to essentially a staking pool where you will get an amount equivalent to the basically what you contribute to that staking pool. So it's a kind of interesting approach to that difference. And again, I am not the most technical person on the planet. There's probably a billion people out there that can describe that better than I can. But it'll be interesting to see how some cryptocurrencies and protocols move from proof of work to proof of stake. And somebody said this is why the rich get richer with proof of stake. Not necessarily if the concept of staking pools actually develops, because even if you have a smaller contribution, you should still be able to participate in a staking pool, and you would still get hopefully an equal distribution of the profits according to the level of crypto that you have. And that should hopefully be an equal if the annual reward is, let's say the annual reward for staking Ethereum is 5%. If you have 1,000 ETH, it's 5%. If you join the staking pool, if you have 10 ETH, it's still 5%. So hopefully that will actually maybe make it a little bit more equitable in the long term. And so NEO is a good example too, and that's interesting too, because a lot of people are saying, hey, NEO, you can just stake one NEO, you can get gas, all that good stuff. So yeah, NEO is a fantastic point. Very good point. So somebody said, are staking pools dangerous? I mean, they might be. There's also an element of centralization, I'm sure, with staking pools. I don't think there's a lot of really good implementations yet of staking pools. So that'll be interesting to see how that gets developed. And I think the biggest concept there would be cold staking. If you can ensure that you have, basically, if you can kind of put up, you can put up your cryptocurrency into that staking pool and then take that offline into cold storage and not have to keep that in a hot wallet or trust a third party. That would be super legit. So I'm looking at some of these questions here. Somebody said, am I still holding bread? I am not. Looks like Bitcoin is trying to break that 97 hundo mark. Would like to see that. Looks like it already did, and I missed it because I was on a rampage talking about proof of stake versus proof of work. Kyle, I don't know when moon, man. I have no idea when moon. So I missed that one. Matt, what's up, dude? Thoughts on Spank Chain, and do I use it? I don't use it, but I do think there is a really interesting, legit use case with Spank Chain, and it has pumped once before, figuratively and literally. So Spank Chain is it's an interesting use case. I don't think a lot of people want to talk about it because it's an edgy topic, but yeah, it's pretty the Spank paper. Appreciate that very much, Art Geckos. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. CJ Gosen, yes, I am still keeping my job. Bite Me said, how can we learn to pay taxes? So I actually met somebody that started a Bitcoin tax software company that I might bring on the channel sooner rather than later. But I use bitcoin.tax. There is a link in the description below this video if you want to check that out. I think it is literally, if you want to go to that, it is cryptobobby.com/Bitcoin tax is what I use. And I pretty much just upload the CSV files from the exchange that you use, and that will calculate your P&L. So that's something that I would recommend using, the Bitcoin.tax software. I think it's like $20 for a year, so I would definitely check it out. was solid, and I enjoyed using it. So, and I'm just gonna give that to my accountant and say, hey, figure it out, dude. Somebody said, Bobby, are you looking to add anything new to your portfolio? No, not right now. I am not looking to add. I feel pretty confident with my portfolio right now. ZCL and Ethereum Classic ETC are short-term trades. I am looking to potentially get back into Chainlink and QuantStamp. I think Chainlink and QuantStamp are two projects that, from what I know in the like crypto industry, they are like heavily there's. So make no mistake about it, there is a legit network of people in crypto. There is a very much a network of very bright, intelligent people in crypto that know what the hell they're doing, and they're building companies together, and they're using economies of scale, and they're being intelligent about the way they're approaching things. I do think Chainlink and I do think QuantStamp are both two of those companies that have very solid connections and respect amongst the people that are growing organizations and protocols within the space. So while they might not be like the flashiest companies right now because they don't have this stupid, obnoxious marketing, blah, 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 partnerships, all that crap that a lot of the other companies out there have, I am pretty positive on them in the long term. So Complex mentioned, did I get rid of the Bloom token BLT? I actually still have that. Probably a smaller portion of my portfolio. But yeah, I do still have Bloom. I think that's the one. I forgot to include that in the portfolio on the website. So do I allocate any specific percentage of my portfolio to swing trading? What's up, Kyle, man? Appreciate you as always. Not necessarily. I mean, sometimes I'll keep, I know it's not necessarily the smart way to approach things, but I will sometimes keep a little bit of money on exchanges for if I need to swing trade. I mean, my trades, my swing trades right now they're not really swing trades, but my short-term trades, I usually look at long-term investments, I look at medium-term, and I look at short-term. When I look at short-term, my shortest term investment is probably a couple days to a week. My longest term investment is Bitcoin and Ethereum. I look to stack Bitcoin on a consistent basis. I don't look to stack Ethereum as much as Bitcoin. I look at Ethereum more as a vehicle to stack from Ethereum to an ICO to maybe another ICO or something like that. So I look at that when I'm looking at Ethereum and kind of building up there, and Ethereum as a vehicle to just buy more and more altcoins and potentially make more Bitcoin with those altcoins. So that's I don't know. I don't really do. I guess you want to define swing trading, but probably my shortest term trades are usually about 5 days to a week. Medium term trades are 2 weeks to 2 weeks to a month, and probably long term trades for me might be anywhere from like 3, 4, 5 months. And then Bitcoin is just kind of a continued stack and build, hold. Tyler, if I could put you up in Hawaii for a week, would you come? Yeah, if it's at the Ritz-Carlton, bro, I'm in. Hit me up, baby. I'll go to Hawaii for a week. Let's do it. Kevin, shoot me an email, rob@cryptobobby.com. Let's see if I can help you out, man. Yeah, no, not about that, Chris. The Ritz Tyler's house? I don't know. I don't want to end up in somebody's basement, bro. I want to end up as a lampshade. Do I take BTC profits at all? No, not right now. I look at my crypto investments as I am really confident in Bitcoin in the long term. And I'm somebody that, like, in a lot of cases, I am not looking to take profit out of Bitcoin and move that into USD unless I'm looking to buy back in at a lower rate. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily looking to take a ton of profit. I mean, sometimes like I'll buy myself something or another just to remember that, just to kind of remember and that I am having a little bit of success sometimes with trading. So like, I bought myself a new laptop a couple months ago with Ethereum. I'll buy myself something here and there just to remember like what's going on. No, Courage Andy, that was not a Holocaust reference. I am definitely not referencing the Holocaust. God, no. I feel like that was from some movie, but no, I'm not referencing the Holocaust. Oh, yes, Jason Moya puts the lotion on the skin. That's what I meant by the lampshade. So let's not say Bobby's about to. Bobby is talking bad about World War II tragedies. As I'm on a cryptocurrency talk show. So Joey mentioned, this is probably one of the last things I could talk about too, but do you mine coins? I do not presently. I got started in crypto mining. So I got started in crypto because I really didn't have any money. So I got started in crypto 4 years ago. I didn't have any money to mine, so I did not. I couldn't really buy a lot of crypto. Like I literally had less than $1,000 to buy. So I mined on my laptop because I couldn't afford GPUs. So I literally fried my laptop, which is stupid as shit. And then I bought the little USB mining sticks. Back in the day, USB Bitcoin miner. I had, what I had? How many of these did I have? I started mining Bitcoin with these bad boys back in the day, and I also mined Dogecoin on my GPU. My laptop is dead because of that. RIP my laptop, RIP Dogecoin. But yeah, these were cool. I bought one of these for like $85 on eBay, and I had a fan. I had a USB fan that I plugged on top of it. So I had the USB miner, I had the fan on top of it, and I would just let that run 24/7. So I don't mine currently, but mining is awesome. If you're like slightly nerdy and you don't mine, I would recommend checking it out. But right now, Andy mentioned too that this is one of the other things. I'm thinking just because I'm maybe a little bit, because I have ADD and probably a little bit bored, but I also want to diversify a little bit as well. Thinking of either starting to mine and building a GPU rig or buying a masternode and running a masternode. So thinking about doing one or the other. I presently am not mining. I presently am not running a masternode, but my portfolio has grown within the past couple of months as such that I can probably afford to diversify into one or the other or both. So who knows? Scout with Clout. I would guess he's a driver. I am not an Uber driver. I work in software. So yes, I work in software. I'm not an Uber driver, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like to get too specific on the channel. Will mining continue to be worthwhile in the future with less proof of work coins? I do think it will. I mean, I think that there will be, if there's like a lot of people point to Ethereum and Ethereum Classic and think that a lot of the mining power and also the value of Ethereum will move to Ethereum Classic when a lot of the Ethereum miners move to Ethereum Classic when proof of work on ETH goes to proof of stake. So that will build up the value as well as of Ethereum Classic. So could be fairly interesting to see, but I personally am at this point in time, I am I don't know, like I do think that miners will continue to make a market. Like people have spent so much money on these GPUs that miners will drive value in the market in the long term. HD 5000, I appreciate you joining, man. I hope I have integrity. I try to have integrity. I try to have integrity. If you want to, if you want to buy some cheap hot altcoins, then maybe this isn't the place for you. But I try to work on it for sure. Did you major in computer science in college? No, I'm not a software engineer. I work in biz dev. So not a software engineer. I have a master's in information systems. So basically, I got a master's in nothing because information systems literally doesn't teach you anything. I didn't know that before I got the master's degree in it. And unfortunately, if I got the master's degree in 2013, right? Literally like the month I got into Bitcoin is when I got my master's degree. If I had taken that money that I spent on my degree and put that into cryptocurrency, your boy would be retired right now and living on a beach with a multi-million-dollar mansion, but I'm not that smart, so you win some, you lose some. Thanks, Northwestern. Waste of time and money. Yeah, maybe. So looking at some of these questions here, Bitcoin private for the long term. I do think Bitcoin private has talked about this a little bit previously. I think Bitcoin private has done a nice job building community. I wouldn't, when you look, so the one thing I think a lot of people talk about when they look at Bitcoin private is Bitcoin gold. Bitcoin gold is arguably a shitcoin. Like Bitcoin gold, what is Bitcoin gold? It's just a fork of Bitcoin. Like literally, what is Bitcoin gold? But it has a $2.2 billion valuation right now. Bitcoin private, I would venture to say, is probably significantly better tech than Bitcoin gold. And the valuation, as far as comparables, we'll have to see exactly how that stacks up. But I think a lot of people are looking at how Bitcoin private might stack up to something like Bitcoin gold, because it should, in my opinion, Bitcoin private, while I'm not massively bullish on Bitcoin private, but should be worth more than Bitcoin gold. Guys, at this point in time, I think I'm going to relax and maybe read a white paper or two, because that's what I want to do on Valentine's Day, and maybe dive into the CFTC discussion or the CFTC briefing that went on today as well. Again, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell. Would love to have you here all the time. I do daily videos on crypto, as well as sometimes 2-a-day crypto YouTube live happy hours. But outside of that, we'll be hitting up another recorded video tomorrow. I'll be at a Monero meetup tomorrow night in New York City, so that should be cool. Hopefully I'll learn some interesting things, meet some interesting people. The ice bucket check, if you'd like that, it's empty. There's just ice in it. So there you go. But outside of that, appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button so this can get out to as many people as possible. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one. Peace.